My fiancée refused to move to a dull town for my job, so I went alone. Now she won't stop begging since learning I make $600,000 a year. I thought we'd built something solid over 5 years together, the kind of relationship where you tackle big decisions as a team. I'm Kevin, 31, working as a senior aerospace engineer earning $135,000 at a defense contractor. My fiancée Diana, 28, ran a boutique marketing agency making $95,000. Everything felt comfortable, established, like we were building toward something permanent. Then Marcus, CEO of a newly established aerospace research facility, called with an offer that would change everything. Kevin, I want you as our Chief Technology Officer at our Riverside facility. Base salary $480,000, performance bonuses reaching $180,000 annually, comprehensive relocation benefits, equity stakes worth potential millions, and complete authority over cutting-edge propulsion systems that could revolutionize aviation. The numbers stunned me. $660,000 total potential compensation, nearly 5 times my current salary. I drove home that evening rehearsing how to present this carefully. Diana was at our kitchen counter scrolling her phone. Something incredible happened, I started. Got offered a CTO position leading an entire technical operation. She looked up briefly. Where's it located? Riverside. About 4 hours from here, smaller town, but the opportunity. Riverside? That dead-end nowhere town? Kevin, you can't be serious. Her face shifted to disbelief. I've worked too hard building my agency to throw it away for some random job in the middle of nowhere. Do you know what moving there would do to my career, my client base, my network? Diana, I haven't told you about the compensation or what. I don't care about the compensation. Quality of life matters. Riverside is where people go to give up, not pursue dreams. She hadn't asked one question about the role, the company, anything. Just heard the town name and judged. Can we at least look at information before deciding? This topic is closed. I'm not moving to some dull town. If you love me, you'll turn down this ridiculous offer and focus on our life here. She picked up her phone, conversation terminated. Over the next week, I tried 3 more times. Each attempt ended identically, Diana shutting down before I could present facts. She organized a dinner party that Friday so her friends could reinforce her position. Her business partner Vanessa held court. Expecting a modern woman to abandon her empire for a man's ambition is prehistoric thinking. Diana's college roommate Tessa announced, I looked it up. There's literally nothing there. One main street, probably a Walmart, bunch of people who peaked in high school. You'd be bored in a week, Diana. Exactly, Diana agreed, looking at me pointedly. Why trade everything for somewhere with no opportunities, no culture, no life? Nobody asked about the actual opportunity. Not the compensation, not what I'd work on, not what it meant for our future. They judged based purely on location. I spent that weekend researching what Diana refused to examine. Riverside had a thriving arts community with monthly festivals, award-winning schools ranking in the state's top 10%, a growing tech corridor, independently owned restaurants and craft breweries. Housing costs were 65% lower, estates selling for $450,000 that would cost $2.8 million in our city. I found Victorian mansions, modern craftsman homes with acreage and mountain views. This wasn't some dying town. It was a community where money went further and quality of life could improve. But Diana wouldn't look. I don't need pictures of houses I'll never live in. You're selling a fantasy that doesn't exist. Small towns are small towns. Limited opportunities, limited thinking, limited futures. You're judging without information. Can we have one conversation considering facts? Facts are simple. I'm not moving. Accept that and turn down this job, or we have a bigger problem. That night, staring at the ceiling while Diana slept, I faced the truth. She hadn't refused after weighing factors carefully. She'd refused because considering anything disrupting her comfort felt threatening. She decided based on fear and status, not partnership or our future. And she expected me to simply comply without question. 3 weeks passed with Diana cutting off every conversation about Riverside. "This topic is closed," became her standard response. "You're being ridiculous," if I persisted. I stopped trying and made a decision that would change everything. I accepted the CTO position without informing her. Over 8 weeks, I methodically prepared in secret. I opened a separate account at a different bank for my signing bonus and salary deposits, researched Riverside properties during lunch breaks, completed all relocation documentation using my work address. Marcus understood my situation and kept everything confidential. Diana's campaign against Riverside intensified. At a rooftop party in April, Vanessa declared, "Expecting a modern woman to abandon her empire for a man's ambition is prehistoric thinking." Diana nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly. I built something from nothing. Why throw that away because Kevin got one job offer?" Nobody asked what I wanted or what the opportunity meant for my career. I was just the obstacle to Diana's perfect existence. When I'd mention our future or finances, Diana deflected immediately. "We're doing fine where we are. Why fix what isn't broken?" She couldn't see that fine wasn't exceptional, that comfort often meant sacrificing extraordinary. One evening, Diana noticed my distance. I'd been distracted, mentally calculating moving logistics. "You're killing the mood lately," she said sharply. "You've been weird for weeks. Maybe you need therapy to let go of failed dreams." Failed dreams? That's what she'd reduced the opportunity to. "I'm fine. Just work stress." "Well, deal with it. I can't handle your negativity on top of everything else." What struck me most was Diana's complete lack of curiosity about what this meant to me. She never asked why I was interested, what excited me, how it could impact my career. She judged Riverside as failure and needed no further information. The compensation haunted me. $480,000 base, potential $180,000 bonuses, equity stakes, relocation benefits. We could have paid off debts in a year, bought a house outright, built real wealth. But Diana had dismissed it without knowing numbers because she didn't care about money, only quality of life. I'd almost told her the figures dozens of times, thinking surely that would change her perspective. But I stopped myself. If she couldn't support this without knowing compensation, telling her wouldn't fix the fundamental problem. She valued current comfort above partnership and compromise. By mid-May, everything was arranged. Start date June 15th, movers scheduled June 12th, 12-month lease signed on a Victorian in Riverside's historic district. 4 bedrooms, wraparound porches, costing less monthly than our cramped apartment. I'd driven to Riverside one Saturday while Diana attended a conference, touring the town and meeting Marcus. Everything she'd claimed was wrong. It wasn't dead or boring. It was charming, sophisticated, full of professionals who'd chosen lifestyle over metropolitan chaos. On June 8th, 1 week before departure, Diana came home excited about wedding venues. "I found this perfect place for next spring," she showed me photos. "Expensive, but we can make it work if we both commit to saving." I looked at the pricing, $45,000. Money that could have been a house down payment, planned for one celebration day. "Diana, we need to talk about something important." We sat at our dining table that Sunday morning, her laptop open to wedding venues. I accepted the CTO position in Riverside. I start June 15th, movers come Thursday. Diana laughed like I'd told an absurd joke. "Very funny. Now seriously about this venue, I'm not joking. I've signed the lease, coordinated everything. I'm moving in 5 days." The laughter died. Her face went through confusion, disbelief, then something cold. "You accepted a job without discussing it with me? After I explicitly said I wouldn't move?" "You didn't discuss it, Diana. You shut down every conversation before I could present facts. You decided without information, so I made mine with all of it. This is insane. You're destroying 5 years together for some ego trip to nowhere. You built your career here. I respect that. I'm not asking you to come. I'm respecting your choice. Not forcing me? If you leave, we're done. The engagement is over. I understand you're giving me an ultimatum. Choose your comfort or my career. That's not partnership." Her face flushed. "You're the one leaving. You're choosing a job over us." A job you never cared enough about to learn anything about. You don't know the role, what I do, what it pays, what it means. You just decided it wasn't good enough. The next 3 weeks were chaos. Diana cycled through manipulation. First rage, she threw my textbooks across the apartment, vandalized my clothes with bleach, posted Instagram stories about partners who betray trust for greed. Then negotiation. What if you commute weekends? Or long distance for a year until I transition my business? The same arrangements she'd called impossible and relationship killers initially. You made it clear you wouldn't compromise. Now you're asking me to split my life because you realize I'm serious. I'm trying to save us. Isn't that what you wanted? I wanted a partner who'd consider what mattered to me. You dismissed it without thought. Theatrical crying came next. She'd sob for hours, calling her mother, telling friends I was ruining her happiness forever. Her mother Christine called, "Kevin, what's happening?" I explained everything, the timeline, Diana's refusal to discuss, my decision. Christine was quiet. She never mentioned a CTO position. She said it was some lateral transfer. Diana's friends organized an intervention dinner. Vanessa led, "You're prioritizing money over love. That's shallow, Kevin." I almost revealed the $660,000 compensation right then, almost explained Diana had chosen without caring about financial reality. But I stopped myself. Money wasn't the point. She dismissed the opportunity without information because it threatened her comfort. The salary wouldn't change that character flaw. On moving day, Diana stayed at Vanessa's. She'd blocked me everywhere except email, needed for apartment logistics. Her final message: "I hope you realize what you're giving up. We could have had everything here. Instead, you chose your ego over our love." I sat in my emptying apartment reading that. Chose my ego. Not my career, growth, future, dreams. My ego. I replied simply, "I hope you find someone whose dreams align better with yours." Then I drove 4 hours to Riverside, to a Victorian mansion, to a CTO position leading 65 engineers, to a salary that would change my life, to a future Diana had dismissed without ever understanding what she was rejecting. My first 3 months in Riverside exceeded every expectation. I led a team of 65 brilliant engineers developing revolutionary propulsion systems, and having immediate decision-making authority accelerated projects that had languished for years in corporate bureaucracy. We weren't just iterating on existing technology, we were creating something genuinely groundbreaking. The work energized me in ways my previous job never had. Riverside itself was a revelation. The sophisticated restaurant scene included a farm-to-table place run by a James Beard nominee, a craft brewery that won national awards, an Italian restaurant where the chef had trained in Florence. Monthly art festivals drew crowds from surrounding cities. The outdoor recreation was exceptional: mountain trails, kayaking, rock climbing, all within 20 minutes. My Victorian rental was spectacular: wraparound porches where I'd drink coffee watching sunrise, a half-acre garden, original hardwood floors and stained glass. It cost $1,850 monthly, less than the cramped apartment Diana and I shared for $2,400. I quickly befriended my neighbors. Gerald, a retired NASA engineer who became my mentor over weekly chess games, and the Dawson family who owned the craft brewery and insisted I join their Sunday dinners. In August, my first quarterly bonus arrived, $52,000. I stared at the deposit notification on my phone, doing the math. On track for $660,000 annually, exactly as promised. The money felt surreal, transformative. I paid off my remaining student loans in one payment, established a substantial emergency fund, started maxing out retirement contributions. By September, I'd stopped renting and purchased a stunning 5-bedroom craftsman estate on 3 acres with mountain views for $465,000. The same property would cost $3.2 million in my old city. Hardwood throughout, chef's kitchen, home office with vaulted ceilings, a workshop in the converted barn. I walked through empty rooms planning furniture placement and felt something I hadn't experienced in years: genuine excitement about my future. Meanwhile, strange messages started arriving from Diana's circle. First, Vanessa sent a cryptic text. "Hey Kevin, hope you're settling in okay. Everything ended all right between you two?" I replied vaguely, "I'm doing well, thanks for asking." Then Tessa, Diana's college roommate, "Heard you took a position in Riverside. How's that working out?" Diana mentioned it was for some new role. "It's going great. Really enjoying the work and the town." Finally, Christine, Diana's mother, called in late September. "Kevin, I hope this isn't inappropriate, but Diana told us you took a lateral transfer to escape the relationship. However, I ran into your former colleague at a charity event who mentioned something about a major promotion. What really happened?" I explained the CTO position, the repeated attempts to discuss it, Diana's refusal to consider the opportunity. Christine was silent for a long moment. "She told us you were running away from commitment to chase some mid-level engineering job. She never mentioned Chief Technology Officer or that she wouldn't even look at information about the position. She made her decision based on location alone. I respected that choice." "Kevin, I'm so sorry. We raised Diana to value certain things, and I'm realizing we may have taught her the wrong lessons about what actually matters." That conversation stayed with me. Diana hadn't just dismissed the opportunity, she'd rewritten the entire narrative to paint herself as the victim of my ambition rather than the architect of her own choice. In October, my life in Riverside felt completely established. My team had achieved a major technical breakthrough that would accelerate our timeline by 8 months. I joined a recreational soccer league, attended gallery openings, explored neighboring towns on weekends. I'd even started casually dating. Nothing serious, just coffee with a teacher I met at the brewery, dinner with a physical therapist from my gym. Life felt full, purposeful, exciting in ways it hadn't in years. Then in early November, everything changed when my company made a major announcement. Our company announced a $340 million government contract for next-generation propulsion systems, the kind of deal that validated everything we'd been building. The press release highlighted my team's innovations and named me specifically as the technical lead. Within days, Forbes published a profile piece titled, "Young CTO Leads Aerospace Innovation from Unexpected Hub." The article featured photos from our facility's product demonstration, detailed our breakthrough technology, and included my insights on aviation's future. The writer had done her homework, discussing my unconventional path to the C-suite and why Riverside's location was actually an advantage for focused innovation. My LinkedIn exploded. Thousands of congratulations from former colleagues, industry contacts, people I'd met once at conferences years ago. Headhunters filled my messages with opportunities one wasn't interested in pursuing. Speaking invitations arrived from universities and industry conferences. Former coworkers shared the article commenting, "Always knew Kevin would do something big, and this is the breakthrough we all dreamed about working on." The visibility was overwhelming but validating. Diana's messages started within hours of the Forbes article posting. First, confused emails. "Kevin, I saw something online about you being a CTO. When did that happen? I thought you took a senior engineering position." I didn't respond. Then more desperate. "I just looked at the public salary ranges on your company's investor page. Is that real? Kevin, please respond." Still nothing from me. Her tone shifted to emotional pleading. "I never understood the real opportunity. You never told me about the compensation or what the position actually was. I made a terrible mistake judging too quickly without information." That made me laugh bitterly. I'd tried telling her dozens of times. She'd shut down every conversation. Her friends began their own campaigns. Vanessa sent a formal email. "Kevin, I owe you an apology. Diana wasn't honest about your offer with us. We thought it was some middle management transfer, not a C-suite position. If we'd known the truth, we would have encouraged her differently." Tessa messaged, "I drove through Riverside last month for a wedding. It's actually charming. Great downtown, beautiful surroundings." Diana really misrepresented everything about the place. Even Diana's professional contacts reached out after seeing the Forbes piece. Interior designers and marketing executives I'd met at her events sent congratulations, with several subtly asking, "What happened with you and Diana, if you don't mind sharing?" I kept responses brief and professional. The most surprising message came from Diana's father, Robert, a successful commercial real estate developer who'd barely spoken to me during our entire relationship. "Son," Christine told me the real story. "You made the CEO's choice, the hard call that separates leaders from followers. Diana doesn't know I'm writing this, but her mother and I are disappointed in how she handled the situation. You deserved better. What you've accomplished is remarkable, and frankly, it's exactly what I would have done in your position. Congratulations on your success." I sat in my home office reading that message 3 times. Diana's own father understood what she couldn't, that sometimes you have to choose your future over someone else's comfort, and that's not selfishness, it's survival. By mid-November, Diana's emails arrived daily. She'd clearly been researching Riverside, my company, the role, everything she'd refused to examine 6 months earlier. I looked at houses in Riverside. "There are some beautiful properties. I could see building a life there," one read. Another, "I've been thinking about my business. I could probably run it remotely or even relocate. The cost of living difference would help a lot." Then, "I know this looks bad, like I only care now that I know about the money. But I'm realizing I threw away someone who actually wanted to build something together. That's what I really lost." Each email revealed the same pattern. Diana discovering facts she could have learned months ago if she'd simply listened. She was reacting to reality rather than her assumptions, but the reality had been available all along. She just refused to see it. I responded to none of them. Then one Friday evening, I received a text from my neighbor Gerald. "Kevin, there's a young woman at your gate claiming to be your fiancée. Should I tell her you're not home?" Diana had come to Riverside. I texted Gerald, "Thanks. I'll handle it." Diana stood on my porch wearing hiking boots and flannel, completely different from her usual designer wardrobe, like she was auditioning for a lifestyle she'd mocked. Her eyes widened at the Craftsman estate, the mountain views, the 3 acres. "Kevin, this place is incredible. What are you doing here, Diana?" I needed to talk face to face. "You won't answer my emails." "Because there's nothing to discuss. You made your choice 6 months ago." "I made a mistake. A huge mistake. Can I come in? Please?" Against better judgment, I let her inside. She walked through touching furniture, admiring vaulted ceilings, staring at the view. I looked up Riverside after the Forbes article. The art festivals, restaurants, community. It's actually amazing here. It was amazing 6 months ago. You refused to look. She turned, tears filling her eyes. You're right. I was shallow and scared. I judged without information. But I see clearly now. I could build a thriving consulting business here. Wealthy professionals moving to places like this need services. We could make it work. 2 months ago you posted Instagram stories mocking small-town provincialism and people who peak in high school and never leave. Her face flushed. I was hurt and lashing out. You meant every word until you discovered what you'd given up. Now suddenly Riverside is acceptable because the price tag on my career is visible. That's not fair. I'm realizing I threw away someone who wanted to build something together. That's what I lost, not the money but you. Our partnership. We didn't have a partnership. Partners discuss opportunities together. You dismissed mine without thought because it inconvenienced you. She stepped closer, reaching for my hand. I moved away. I know I look like I only care about money now. But I genuinely realize what I gave up. Someone loyal, thoughtful, quietly ambitious. Can't we try again? I'll move here. I'll prove I've changed. You didn't give me up. You threw me away before knowing what you were discarding. There's a fundamental difference. The conversation continued another hour. Diana cycled through arguments. She was young and made a mistake. Vanessa's toxic advice influenced her. She'd been scared of change. She now understood what mattered. Nothing landed because the core issue remained. She decided based on dismissiveness and contempt, only reconsidering when external validation proved her wrong. When emotion failed, Diana left but didn't give up. 2 weeks later, a certified letter arrived from her attorney alleging I'd engaged in financial deception by concealing material information about the employment opportunity causing measurable harm to Ms. Harrison's economic and emotional well-being. It claimed Diana deserved $50,000 compensation for lost opportunities to relocate when the relationship was salvageable. I forwarded it to my attorney, who called laughing. "This is absurd. She rejected the opportunity without information, now claims you deceived her by not forcing her to listen? We'll handle this easily." My attorney sent documentation. I'd attempted conversations Diana shut down, text messages where she stated, "I don't care what they're paying you," social media posts mocking the job before knowing details. The threat evaporated within a week. But Diana wasn't finished. She launched social media posts about economic coercion in relationships and partners who use financial secrecy as manipulation, framing our breakup as me deliberately hiding information to punish her. The strategy backfired spectacularly. Mutual friends commented with receipts. Tessa shared, "Diana, you literally said you didn't care about the money, only quality of life, when Kevin first mentioned this." Vanessa surprisingly posted, "I was there for multiple conversations. You shut him down every time and called him selfish for considering it. This isn't financial abuse, you made an uninformed choice and won't accept responsibility." Diana deleted everything within 24 hours, but damage was done. Several clients dropped her during this period, uncomfortable with her public meltdown and unprofessional behavior. 15 months after moving to Riverside, my facility launched our revolutionary propulsion prototype ahead of schedule. The demonstration attracted defense officials, aerospace executives, and media coverage positioning our company as an industry leader. My role earned recognition as one of the sector's rising stars, and my total compensation hit $695,000 with performance bonuses exceeding projections. I purchased a second property that fall, a lakeside contemporary cabin 40 minutes from town as investment and weekend retreat. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking water, a dock for my kayak, trails into protected forest land. I'd spend Saturdays there reading, cooking elaborate meals, enjoying solitude that felt peaceful rather than lonely. In December, I started dating Samantha, a wildlife biologist who'd relocated to Riverside specifically for research opportunities with the State Conservation Program. We met at a community lecture on local ecosystems. Afterward, she approached me. "Most people don't think about ground nesting birds when excited about aerospace innovation." That was refreshing. We got coffee, then dinner, then started exploring trails where she'd point out animal tracks and bird calls. "Your job is impressive," she said one afternoon photographing hawks, "but honestly less interesting than whether you can identify a red-tailed hawk versus Cooper's hawk by silhouette alone." She made me laugh constantly, challenged me to learn things outside my expertise, and seemed genuinely unimpressed by trappings of success that obsessed Diana. When I mentioned the Forbes article, she shrugged, "Cool. Want to help me set up camera traps for the Bobcat study?" Word filtered back about Diana's situation. Her agency had lost major clients during her obsessive period ranting about what could have been. Her reputation suffered professionally. Vanessa had distanced herself after the social media disaster. Diana had moved to a cheaper apartment, scaled back her lifestyle significantly, was struggling to rebuild what she damaged. I felt distant sympathy but no desire to help or reconnect. On the anniversary of my move, Diana's final email arrived. "Kevin, I finally understand what I lost wasn't the money or lifestyle. It was someone who saw our relationship as a partnership where we tackled opportunities together, and I was too shallow and status-obsessed to recognize that. You tried sharing your excitement about the future, and I couldn't see past my fear of not being the most impressive person at dinner parties. I've spent this year in therapy understanding how my need for external validation destroyed something real. I don't expect forgiveness or a second chance. I just want you to know I understand now what I threw away. I hope Samantha appreciates what she has because you deserve someone who celebrates your dreams. I'm sorry for everything. The contempt, the manipulation, the legal threats, all of it." I read it twice, surprised by genuine self-awareness. No excuses, no reconciliation attempts, just honest acknowledgement. I replied simply, "Diana, thank you for the honest apology. I genuinely hope you find happiness and learn from this. Take care." 3 months later, I attended a conference in my former city. Christine, Diana's mother, asked if I'd meet her and Robert for coffee. We sat in a quiet cafe while Christine's eyes filled with tears. "Kevin, I need to apologize. Robert and I taught Diana that image and status mattered more than substance. Where you lived, who you knew, what brands you wore. When she finally told us the complete truth about your CTO offer and what she turned down, we were ashamed of what our parenting produced." Robert added, voice gruff, "Business to business, man to man, you made the only professional decision possible. You can't build an empire with a partner who tears down the foundation before you lay the first brick. Diana knows she destroyed something irreplaceable." Christine squeezed my hand as we left. "For what it's worth, we would have been honored to have you as our son-in-law. The way you've handled this with dignity tells us everything about your character." "I think someone already appreciates that," I said, showing them a photo of Samantha and me at the lake. "She's beautiful," Christine said. "Does she make you happy?" "She values who I am, not what I provide. That's worth more than anything." Driving back to Riverside, I reflected on the profound lesson. When someone reveals their true priorities through dismissive actions rather than supportive words, believe that revelation immediately rather than hoping they'll change. Authentic partnership requires mutual respect for each other's aspirations, not just tolerance when those aspirations align with personal preferences. I was thriving beyond imagination in my supposedly dull town, leading groundbreaking aerospace innovation, earning more than I dreamed possible at this stage, building genuine wealth through smart investments, and sharing my life with someone who valued character and passion over status symbols. Samantha and I got engaged that spring during a camping trip tracking wolf populations. I proposed at sunrise after we'd photographed stars all night, the ring hidden in my camera bag for 2 weeks. "Yes," she said, laughing and crying. "But I'm keeping my last name professionally, and we're honoring the wolves in our wedding somehow." I wouldn't expect anything less. We bought land together that summer, 20 acres bordering protected forest where we'd build our home. Samantha designed the layout to minimize wildlife disruption while I planned structural elements. Our life was genuinely collaborative, each bringing expertise and enthusiasm to shared goals. Sometimes I'd think about Diana seeing my LinkedIn updates or hearing about my continued success. I wondered if she'd learned that dismissing someone's dreams doesn't just cost you that person, it costs you the future you could have built together. But mostly, I didn't think about her at all. When you're with the right person, building the life you actually want, the past stops mattering. Sometimes the greatest gift someone can give you is showing exactly who they are before you've permanently entangled your futures, allowing you to make the difficult but correct choice to walk away and discover what you truly deserve.